All right, so our today's session is going to be on the ultimate reality, the concept of ultimate reality, and this is going to be based on the philosophy of Sri Vallabhacharya, and we'll start with some basics as to how Sri Vallabhacharya conceives the concept of the supreme or ultimate reality, and then we kind of dive deep into some of the aspects of the nature of the supreme reality. Just giving a little bit background on why I thought this would be an interesting topic for the people here. Most of the people have approached me that, hey, if you can take up a topic on Pushti Marg in English for the English speakers, so that they can also comprehend and get more understanding on the philosophy, and hence I chose to do this session in English language. Most of the times I've also seen people asking me very common basic question, which is again very intriguing and which requires a lot of deeper conversation to answer that question. And that question is, most of my friends and people who reaches out to me in social media ask me this question, that can you prove the existence of God? And in order to answer that question, like, hey, how do I prove the existence of God? If somebody gets asked this question, the immediate reflex reaction to that question is people just jumps into proving the existence of God, and most of the time it proves to be an ineffective mechanism to solving that problem or answering that question. Because then there's always a counter argument to disproving the existence of God, and then it just gets very nasty conversation, and at the end you don't have the conclusion as to how do you prove the existence of the God, right? Because neither side of the party, the side who is questioning the existence of the God, and most of the times on the other side you have the atheist or agnostic person who does not believe either on God, in the existence of God, or a person who is trying to understand whether there is really a logical reason of possibly understanding or a logical proof of proving the existence of God. And then the other side mostly consists of a theistic follower who believes in God, but that person, just prematurely answers that question of proving the existence of God in such a way that the arguments just falls apart, and then ultimately the conclusion is that neither of the parties are satisfied, and then the subject matter which is at hand, which is proving the existence of God, remains still open and remains still unanswered. And so generally my reaction to that question, when somebody asks me as to can you prove the existence of God, my immediate reaction to that question is, before we dive deep into answering the question on the existence or proving the existence of God, I think one should first understand and first try to define what is God. Because you can't prove something which you can't define. And even the Hindu Sanatana scriptures also very rightly says, Lakshana Pramanabhyam Vastu Siddhi. If you want to prove something, that something exists, you have to first, the prerequisite to proving that something exists is to define that something first, very clearly. And then you have to find the means to proving the existence of that something through the means of knowledge. And hence it is said that Lakshana pramanabhyam. Lakshana means first try to define the thing that you're trying to prove. And then try to come up with a means of knowledge on how the other person who does not know about that phenomena can possibly try to understand, or can possibly understand the same phenomena by applying the same means of knowledge. And then once you have these two things defined, then you can embark on the journey of defining that, embark a journey on proving the existence of that something. The same thing we should apply here. When somebody asks the question, prove me the existence of God, my immediate reaction to that question is, well, can you define the God? And that actually triggers a great conversation, which is much more fruitful conversation of defining the God, which is a very good conversation to have before we jump into proving the existence of God. So let's define the God in this session. But there are so many different opinions about the existence of God. So many different types of philosophies, different types of doctrines, different philosophers have tried to define their own way of coming up with the definition of God. There are modern scientists, metaphysicists, who have tried to define the existence of, tried to define not necessarily the existence of God, but something which is an ultimate reality, as per the scientists. And that doesn't necessarily have to be exactly the godly phenomena that is defined in our scriptures. But most of the modern scientists, and specifically lately the metaphysicist called Stephen Hawking, he basically was of an opinion that an ultimate reality does not need to be conscious in nature. So he did not really believe in the existence of that type of God, quote unquote, which is defined in biblical scriptures or even in the Vedic scriptures, wherein a God is perceived or defined as something or somebody who is conscious in nature, who is controlling the creation, who is the complete controller of the creation, and who is conscious. It is not necessary that everybody would believe in that type of ultimate reality concept. So what I'm trying to say is different philosophers, different scientists from a different perspective have tried to define what is the ultimate reality. And so modern science, and specifically the Stephen Hawking has, he says that you really don't need any conscious phenomena to create the world, or to sustain the world, or to dissolve the world. So creation, sustenance, and dissolution of the world, you don't really need any kind of conscious phenomena or godly type of phenomena. But at the same time, he still believes that there is some unified force. Now, it need not be conscious in nature, by the way. But some unified force is there, which that one force has become many and has led to the creation of the world, which he defines in his grand unified theory called as Gut. But he doesn't still believe in that type of God which is conscious in nature. For their own reasons. He has his own reasons to be atheist in that way. So for him, the ultimate reality is a unified force. There were scientists like Einstein, philosophers and scientists like Einstein, who really believed in the existence of God or the ultimate reality. But his concept of ultimate reality was not a biblical concept of God, but he believed in a different concept of God, biblical concept of God, in the sense that not as defined as in Bible, or any religion that is Abrahamic in nature. So he didn't believe in that type of God. And he said in one of the articles, he said that he believed in the concept of God, which is defined by Spinoza. He was another philosopher, by the way, who had similar philosophical views about the ultimate reality, same as Vallabhacharya. Though he was from West, but still there are a lot of similarities between his doctrines of the metaphysics, the doctrines of theology, which relates to the God, the nature of the God, and the relationship between the God and the creation. Most of his concepts, most of his principles that Spinoza defined are matching with Vallabhacharya's principle as well, which we call it as Shuddhadvaitvad or Sakar Brahmavad. But anyhow, I digressed. So there are different concepts of what is the definition of ultimate reality. In different branches of knowledge, in a different philosophical systems, doctrinal systems, in different perspectives. There is a diverse set of opinions about the concept of what is the ultimate reality. Now, let's come back to let's come back to what Vallabhacharya says what the ultimate reality is, and how does he conceptualize, or how does he conceive the overall idea of that ultimate reality. And so talking about Vallabhacharya's point of view, the doctrines and the principles and the system of Vallabhacharya and his philosophy is not a novel. It is not his own creation. It is not his novel approach. It is based on the Vedic scriptures. The doctrine that he has proposed is rooted in the Vedic scriptures. And when I say Vedic scriptures, I refer to Ved and the Upanishadic part of the Ved, the Karmakand part of the Ved, the Smriti Shastra, the Purana Shastra, the Narada Pancharatra or Agama Shastra in general, the Itihas part of the scriptures, and virtually every part of the scriptures that is considered within the ecosystem of the Vedic Sanatana Dharma. So his concept or his foundation of the concept of the ultimate reality is rooted into the foundational scriptures of the Vedic Sanatana Dharma. And in one of the Upanishad, in Taittiriya Upanishad defines the nature of the Brahman, the essential nature of the ultimate reality. And that ultimate reality is termed in a different scriptures in a different ways. In Upanishads, that ultimate reality is termed as quote-unquote Brahman. And in Smriti Shastra, it is termed as Paramatma. Like Bhagavad Gita, it is a Smriti Shastra and it is defined as Paramatma. And in the Puranic scriptures, it is defined in Bhagavad, Puran and so forth. It is defined as or termed as Bhagavan. But all of these three terms, the Brahman, the Paramatma, and Bhagavan, refers to the same ultimate reality. Now, coming to the part of what is ultimate reality as per Vallabhacharya. And Vallabhacharya ji goes back to the foundation, one of the foundational scriptures called as Taittiriya Upanishad, and he quotes from there. Taittiriya Upanishad defines the nature of that ultimate reality. So first of all, the ultimate reality, as per Taittiriya Upanishad, it says Satyam Jnanam Anantam. An ultimate reality is infinite, conscious being. Satyam means it exists. The ultimate reality exists, meaning it is Satyam. The second thing that Taittiriya Upanishad talks about, that ultimate reality, is it is conscious in nature. Satyam means it exists. Jnanam means it is aware of the self. It is conscious about itself. And hence it is called as Jnanam. Satyam Jnanam. It is a conscious being. It is not like something that does not know about itself. So for example, I am sitting on a chair. Does chair know about itself, that I exist? No. Chair doesn't know that it exists, because chair is not a conscious phenomena. Chair is not self-aware phenomena. But then if you ask yourself, or if you ask someone else, do you exist? The answer would be yes, because I am self-aware. So you are aware of your self-consciousness. You are self-aware about yourself. And that is the aspect of Jnanam. So the ultimate reality is a conscious being. And the third and very important aspect of that Brahman, or that ultimate reality as defined by the Upanishads, to which Vallabhacharya definitely subscribes to that point of view, is it is infinite. Infinite not just in the sense of the spatial infinitism. Spatial infinitism means not just the infinity in terms of space. It also means the infinity in terms of time. So time meaning temporal infinity, the infinity in terms of the space meaning spatial infinity, infinity in terms of every name, form and function is what it can acquire. So formal infinity meaning there are infinite number of forms of that ultimate reality. In that way also it is infinite. The infinity in the form of names, because that ultimate reality has an infinite dimensionality, infinite names and infinite concepts. So it also manifests in terms of infinite names and concepts. In that way, there is a nominal infinity. We call it as nominal infinity. And then there is a formal infinity, and then there is a functional infinity. Any action in this creation, any action in this cosmos is a form taken by that ultimate reality. Nothing is outside of the realm of that infinite reality or that ultimate reality, because it is infinite in nature. And the infinity is not just in terms of time, space and matter. The infinity is also in terms of forms, names and functions also. So nothing can come or nothing can go outside of that infinite realm. Nothing can be totally different from that ultimate reality. So the ultimate reality as per Sri Vallabhacharya and hence the Taittiriya Upanishad and hence the Sri Vallabhacharya is that it is the whole, W-H-O-L-E, the whole, the complete, the all-encompassing. You cannot possibly perceive anything outside of that ultimate reality or outside of the realm of that ultimate reality. And that is the concept that is the concept of ultimate reality as per Sri Vallabhacharya, which is again rooted into the Taittiriya Upanishad or the Upanishadic part of the scriptures. And so again, to summarize the concept of ultimate reality, it is an infinite conscious being. Now, one can come back and say, hey, I challenge that, I challenge that it is not like that. The God is not like that. And so let's just take one by one how to justify that these are the three necessary and sufficient attributes for an ultimate reality. First of all, you question that it is not real. If it is not real, then who is the question that the person who is asking this question to prove the existence of God is itself questionable, because the person, if the person asking this question is also not real, then there is no such opportunity to have a conversation, because how can you have a conversation with an unreal person, with an unreal question, with an unreal conversation? Because if you are not real, and if a person you are asking, that person is also not real, and as a matter of fact, if the subject matter is also not real, how can you possibly engage in a conversation in a totally illusionary nature? So one has to be real to be able to ask the question about what is ultimate reality. And the word and the phrase ultimate reality itself has a reality embedded into it. So you can't really question that it is, you really can't question the reality aspect of the ultimate reality. Because moment you question the reality aspect of the Brahman or the ultimate reality, you are questioning yourself. Because what is Brahman as per the definition? The complete, the whole, the all-encompassing. And if you are the part of that all-encompassing, and if you deny the whole, then you are denying yourself. Because you are the part of that system. And if you are a part of the system, and if the system is unreal, then it is implied that you are also unreal. So if you are unreal, then who is asking that question? Because the question, the person who is asking the question also will become unreal. The question will also become unreal, and the person who you are asking the question will also become unreal, and hence the entire conversation will become unreal. And which makes the entire thing illogical. So, first of all, if you question the existence of the God, then you are questioning the existence of yourself. Because ultimately, what is God? It is all-encompassing, which you are the part of the system. You are a part and parcel of that all-encompassing phenomena. And you deny the God, you deny the existence. You deny the existence of the God, and you deny the existence of yourself. So, first of all, one has to accept the first part of the definition of the God, which is God is real. It exists. Because, as I said, that is a logical pitfall if you don't believe so. Now let's go to the second aspect, and let's challenge the second aspect of the nature of the Brahman, or nature of that ultimate reality, which is consciousness. You question that God is not conscious. And as per the definition of God, defined by Vallabhacharya, it is all-encompassing. That means the conscious phenomena in this world is also part of that ultimate reality. That means if you consider yourself as conscious, self-aware phenomena, you are in a way part of that system. So, if you deny the consciousness of the Brahman, again the problem comes back to you. Just a second. If you are able to join now, Venkatesh. Okay. Okay, let's see. Venkatesh, are you able to join? Okay, let's see. I have accepted. I am accepting your invitation. I'm not sure why you're not able to join. This is so frustrating. Hold on. Nah. Okay. I don't know. Like I'm accepting the request, but I'm not. Oh, there you go. I got you.
Sorry. I'm technically very not, anyway, too old.
Okay. Okay, no worries. But I hope you were
So,
listening to
yeah, I
the
was listening. So I have a
conversation.
question. I want to pause it. The
Yes.
question, what you're saying is, let's ignore God for a second. Okay, let's ignore God for a second. So, what are you saying? The system itself is God. You're just defining the system as God. So, you're saying if you are questioning the system, that means you yourself are questioning your own existence. That's what I got. So, if I
Correct.
remove the word God, what you're saying is you are in the system. You are saying, who am I? Where am I? What is this reality? And then you say, oh, this system is itself, is that what God is?
Exactly. That is it. That is exactly the question that one should answer first before you jump on to answering the question of proving the existence of God. The number one mistake everybody does when they engaged in the conversation of prove me the existence of God, and then they jump into proving the existence of God without even understanding the definition of the God. So before you engage in a debate with anybody to prove the existence of the God, you should engage with that person to first have a common definition, agreeable definition of what is God or what is that ultimate reality. And that is what we should understand first. Now you
So,
consider it as a system, don't care.
so would it be a prudent first question is, do you think you are real? Before let's God about God, you said, do you think you are real? Do you exist? Am I here, or is this itself an illusion? Or because if I have to go to the ultimate, I have to, if I want to prove or disprove whether the ultimate exists or not, I have to first prove that I exist or not.
Correct. Absolutely. And so let's see the person who, like for example, you are asking me the question that do I exist or not? Does that mean that this question also exists or not? For the question to exist, you have to first exist.
Correct.
How would you justify the question and the answer if the person who is asking the question also does not exist? That means the question also does not exist. If the question does not exist, then I don't have to answer the question and the conversation will never start.
Correct. Okay.
So,
Okay.
in a way, you have to accept the existence of yourself before you even start the conversation.
So
Trainer.
okay, you can put a pin in this if you think I'm digressing. So how does, when a Bauddha comes, when there nothing exists, how does he or she ask even the question, what is suffering? Because for suffering to exist, the person who is suffering has to exist. That means he or she has to exist, or they or them have to exist. So if there is nothing, that means they themselves don't exist, therefore suffering doesn't exist. So what are they chasing? Their own tail?
See, there is a self contradiction there. There is a paradox in there. When Buddha says that nothing exists, something something exists for nothing to exist.
Or someone has to say
Something
that nothing. Someone has
someone
to say that nothing
has
exists. Therefore,
exist.
that person exists.
Exactly.
Okay.
For you to be able to say nothing exists, first you have to exist. Then you can make the point that nothing exists. And by the way, what is this nothingness? Is it something, or nothing means devoid of everything? That is also something that you have to understand. What is the definition of nothing? Is it complete absence of something or everything? Nothingness is also somethingness. So Buddha says one thing very clearly, that I am not a nihilist. I'm not a nihilist where I always where I really am not a I don't really pose a theory
of nihilism. Nihilism means everything is destructible, and hence nothing exists. No, I'm not really nihilist in that sense. He is saying that I will not stick myself into particular, or I will not bind myself into particular definition of that ultimate reality, because for me ultimate reality is undefinable. I can't define it. That is the principle of Buddha. It is undefinable. I can't really define Brahman.
So
I can't really define.
Again, we don't have to go in there, but why is it called Shunyavad then?
It's undefinable. Shunyavad doesn't mean nothingness.
Oh, that's a great misconception in the
absolutely. It is a great misconception. Shunyavad does not mean absolute absence. Shunyavad means you can really not define that ultimate reality. That is what Buddha is saying. And absolutely, I mean, make no mistake, Upanishads also say yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. Upanishad also says that ultimate reality is not a subject of sensory organs. It's not a subject of limited sensory organs through which we can describe that phenomena. You're always going to fall short of the words. You start describing the ultimate reality. And hence it stands to be indescribable. You will never be able to define it completely. But at the same time, this is the beauty of Mahaprabhuji's philosophy. At the same time, Mahaprabhuji and the Upanishads also say that so kamayat yadvai tat sukrutam raso vaisaha. He desired some definable. His wish make himself definable. For you to say that you should only be bound to your undefined realm, his wish, because of which he has to be describable. The words, the actions, through the forms, the functions. Let it be so. And hence Upadaitri Upanishad says the holistic way to define the nature of that ultimate reality is it is infinite conscious being. If you don't accept it, then you are denying your existence. If you don't exist, then the question does not even arise to ask the question about ultimate reality. So you are trapped in your own logic. The stand taken by Taittiriya Upanishad. I hope that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
so I have okay, keep going.
So we challenged the reality aspect of that ultimate reality, and we proved that it is real. Then we challenged the aspect of consciousness, and we proved that ultimate reality is conscious. It is not some kind of mechanical structure or mechanical system as perceived or as the modern scientists comprehend. For example, Stephen Hawking used to say that, hey, we don't really need a conscious phenomena to create this universe or to sustain this universe. It will happen on its own, and that unified force is not necessarily a conscious phenomena. Upanishadic system says no, it is a system. It is a very well run system. It's a very well systematic process. There is a determinism in the system of the creation. There is a determinism in the phenomena of this universe, cosmos. The predictability, along with the unpredictability, there is some part of predictability also. It is a systematic process, and hence it is impossible for a non-conscious phenomena manifest in such a systematic process like that.
Hold
You
on, hold
need a
on,
conscious phenomena.
hold on. So if you see with the age of like now the artificial intelligence is hyped, right, in some degree. Are you saying this here? If you see there's a system, the person who writes a decision tree, some model, some prediction model in computer science, and then you have the person who designs it, and then the model itself that is trained, and then prediction. There is a big theory of how to do that, but the system is agnostic. The creator of the system is conscious, but the system is mechanical. So in some sense, Stephen Hawking is only talking about the algorithmic aspect of it, which just goes through probability not as a chance of like a decision tree of a toss of coin, which path it has to take, and it lands up these things combined together, whether it is like water and flour to mix together. This is the gluten is formed. If you put pressure, then gluten is formed. So wouldn't that say that the system or the chemistry of what when things combine doesn't have conscience?
See, that's a good question. And my rebuttal to that is yes. The the system can be run by automatically, coincidentally, right? You can possibly comprehend that way that a system is possibly running on its own automatically. Why do you need a conscious phenomena to run the system, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you can possibly say, well, self it is a self-run phenomena, and there is a constant set of rules and which is existing in this universe, which is causing it to function on its own. You don't really need a non-conscious phenomena, right? But the question is, for you to be able to assume that automation, you take any example in this world where the things are automated. As you rightly said, there is a conscious phenomena behind creating that automatic system, that automation. How can you ignore that? Automation ultimately is to be created by a conscious phenomena. So again, the question will become that who has created that automation? If a machine learning models are running in the application, who has trained the machine learning models through the training data set? It's a human. Who has created the algorithm? Humans. Otherwise, you will not possibly need any data scientists or machine learning engineers. It should automatically work. The innovation should automatically happen. So without the conscious phenomena, without humans, innovation would not happen. Machine learning would not even.
So this is like the Bhagavad Gita shloka of I'm the seed giver. I'm the seed giving person who starts everything. So he's a seed given that germinates into many things.
Right. Even the Brahma Sutrakar Vyas also has proven that you really need a conscious phenomena to be able to form such a sophisticated systematic process, which is deterministic in nature, which is predictable in nature up to a certain extent, for sure. Like we obviously don't know the entire functioning of the cosmos yet, but there is a predictability, there is a determinism in the things that we do, because there is a law of physics. There are laws of physics, laws in biology. That there are rules that we have found in various aspects of branches of knowledge, various aspects of our life. There are social rules. There are computer science rules. There are metaphysical rules. There are laws of physics, and there is some predictability out there. And behind that, you can't possibly comprehend such a sophisticated systematic process just merely propped up by a non-conscious phenomena. It's very difficult to comprehend. So conscious phenomena is the second aspect of that ultimate reality. And the third aspect of that ultimate reality is very extremely important, and people misses that, because whenever a person is asked about proving the existence of God, they probably start relying on the magical aspects of proving the God. Like, hey, if I show some kind of a chamatkar, for example, or if if a certain person shows certain types of chamatkars, then hence it is proof that that person is God. I have literally come across arguments given by the other party, the opposing party, where they rely on these chamatkars. I mean, can you do this? If a person can fly on his own in the space, then that person is considered to be the God. Right? Like, are you kidding me? Like, you have the modern scientific technology that will let you do that now. That doesn't mean necessarily that you have become God. So you can't rely on these types of qualities and characterization of being a God. You have to broaden your vision, and that broader vision offered by Upanishads is infinitism. That infinitism is something that is a part and parcel of that ultimate reality. And infinitism is not just confined to special infinitism, meaning in terms of space, but also in terms of temporal or time dimension. And the infinity is in terms of number of forms or formal infinity, infinity in terms of names or concepts, infinity in terms of functions or actions. It is all encompassing. Without infinity, you can't really comprehend an ultimate reality concept, which is all encompassing, because infinity goes hand in hand with all encompassing.
Mm-hmm.
You say you challenge the infinity. My question to that person would be, then have you seen the limits of the cosmos? Have you experienced the limit of this universe? Stephen Hawking goes on saying there are multiple universes, multiverses theory. Have you seen the limits of this universe? Have you seen the limits of multiverses? Have you seen the limits of cosmos? You have to accept that it is infinite in nature. You question the infinite, then I would question that, have you seen the finite? Have you seen the limits of the cosmos? So as per the definition given by Upanishads and hence Vallabhacharya, the definition of the ultimate reality is, number one, it is an infinite conscious being, and hence it is all encompassing. It is the whole, is the single phenomena. It is that unified force as defined by Stephen Hawking. It is that unified force in his gut theory. It is that unified force that has manifested in terms of all names, forms, and functions, because it's infinite.
But hold on a second. Why does it have to be a singularity?
Because if you read Stephen Hawking's research, for example, he says that energy and particles, though they are different, and matter could be originating from energy or could be originating from matter. Mostly the matter originates from the particles, and the wave is seldom seen as the or the energy is seldom seen as the substantial cause of anything in this world. But Stephen Hawking says that, hey, you really can't have a watertight compartment between the particle and the energy, because I am able to prove, or means I, in the sense Stephen Hawking is able to prove, at least in the theoretical concept, that there has to be one single force that has led to manifesting an energy and manifesting the particles from which entire universe has taken place. So he also says there's unified force. One force has become many, as per his theory. And he is a very popular, renowned metaphysicist. A single phenomena manifested in multiplicities. Now, there are philosophies that, why do you need to have a singular phenomena? That's why, again, when we define the ultimate reality, we define that way, such that you don't really need a something which is outside of that ultimate reality, and hence I said infinitism is extremely important factor. If it is infinite, what is going to be outside of that infinitism? Is there going to be anything that is going to be outside of infinite? So then singular has become
Okay. So, what? I don't know whether I'm derailing your conversation here. So, what is the subtle difference between? So now we have Buddha in one spectrum, you have Shankara on the other side, and one who is Mahaprabhuji Vallabhacharya. So can you just say that within these three tripod, what are the differentiating factors between this ultimate reality, the multiplicity, and what is mithya, what is an illusion, and what is satya, what is truth, what is existence?
So from the
just pick some dimensions among the three philosophers, like with regards to this context that you're talking about, how do they uniquely differentiate between each other? Because it seems like a little bit of splitting hairs hence.
Yeah, I think let's take one by one, step by step. Let's take head-on comparison with Vallabhacharyaji's point of view about the ultimate reality and Shankara's point of view. Let's take head-on, and then we can jump into Buddha as well, right? Shankaracharyaji is also a Vedic philosopher, and he also claims that his philosophy, his doctrines are rooted in the Vedic scriptures, right? The same way as Vallabhacharya. So he doesn't claim that it is all his novel approach or his own creation. So whatever he's going to say, he will definitely justify to be rooted in the scriptures. And what he says, and definitely he has justified it also based on scriptures about the nature of that Brahman or nature of that ultimate reality. He says that, hey, there is a scriptural text which I agree that Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, Yo Veda Nitam Guhayami, etc. And so there are at least three qualities that one must comprehend present in the ultimate reality. One is Satyam, second is Jnanam, and third is Anantam. So at least three minimum qualities are required. When you have three things in Brahman, is it singular or is it multiple? Now there are three things that you have to visualize in the Brahman. Anantam, three. And now if you say, no, these three are one and the same thing, then why are there three? And if you say, no, there are really three, exist. There are three elements that exist in Brahman. Then Brahman no longer remains singular phenomena, homogeneous phenomena. It becomes it becomes a compounded unity. It ceases to exist as a homogeneous phenomena. It becomes a mechanical structure like car. A car is made up of so many types of parts, and then you make a complete car. Now, if you say that this Satyam, Jnanam, and Anantam, these three things are totally different from each other, which constitutes the Brahman, then it is as good as making a car, mechanical structure of car. So is Brahman like a car? Multiple parts in it? That's what Shankaracharya is questioning. So Shankaracharya says, oh, well, with that that problem which will come into the nature of the Brahman, where a Brahman will no longer remain a singular entity. I can't deal with that problem because that is going to hurt the scriptural texts, and hence he takes the stand. Shankaracharya takes the stand that hey, you can't really possibly envision any kind of duality in the nature of the Brahman, in the essential nature of Brahman. There is, you must accept absolute absence of any type of duality in Brahman. So Shankaracharya is not ready to accept any kind of an iota, even an iota of duality in the Brahman because of this problem, epistemological problem, that he thinks he has encountered that and he is not able to justify. So the interpretation of Shankaracharya in the nature of the Brahman, when scripture says Satyam, Jnanam, and Anantam, is he interprets in a different way. He says it is not Satyam, it is not Asatyam. That is what scripture is trying to say. Scripture is not trying to say that it is X, Y, Z. The scripture is trying to say it is not X. So that is why he is trying to justify.
So it is not impermanent.
Not impermanent. Exactly.
Oh, I hate double negatives.
He's trying to get, he's very intelligent, right? Because he's not saying, if you say something is there, that means there is a duality. He's saying, no, you can't accept that something is there in Brahman. He will say that something is not there, something negative is not there in Brahman. So he is not asatya. That's what he's saying.
So let's pause for a second, right? So if you say the sun, okay, let's talk about something tangible. The sun. Sun has warmth, gives warmth, it also gives light. So if the sun is Brahman, right? And light is Satyam. And warmth is Anandam. Let's ignore Jnana for the time being. So what Shankara is saying is, oh, sun Brahman, it is not darkness.
Correct. Rather than saying it is light, saying it is not dark, not darkness. Because in negation, you really can easily comprehend the infinitism. If you negate, like, for example, let me give an example. I would say this is not pen. What do you mean by this is not pen? This is not pen means there are millions of items which is not pen. Now it increases the scope, not really pinning down to one object. You're not expanding the scope to infinite things, which is not pen. An object which is not pen. Can you define it? An object which is not pen. Can you define it? Define. It is infinite. Same way, relying on a negative approach allows him to sustain the singularity of the Brahman and not introduce possibly any type of duality in the nature of the Brahman.
But why?
Because he says that is an epistemological problem. He is possibly not able to justify. Because epistemological problem is that the scriptural text says Advitiya. He is the one without the second. He has to abide by that scriptural text. What do you mean by without the second? Because moment you say there is a qualitative difference within Brahman in terms of Sat, Chid and Anand, there are three things in Brahman. That clearly violates the scriptural text, which is one and only one without the second. We're introducing three things in Brahman. Contradicting. in nature. It is paradoxical, and hence Shankaracharya takes the approach that, hey, let's take a negative approach. Same way in consciousness, Shankaracharya says, oh, it is not unconscious. That's why it is conscious. He would not say positive attribute. He would say negative. Same way for Anantam, he's saying, no, it's not Santam. It's not finite. That's why it is infinite. So wherever you introduce a negation, you increase the scope. Same as this is identify an object which is not pen. There are millions of things that you can identify an object which is not pen. That is the approach taken by Shankaracharya.
But wouldn't he have a problem there too? If I say it is not pen, if it is not, imagine there's an infinite list. If I say not pen, not phone, not TV, not desk, not chair, not this, not, I just negate the whole thing. It's like an Excel sheet that where I find replace.
Yes.
I append not. Then it becomes finite, no?
But you will possibly never be able to enlist everything because Brahman is infinite. You'll never be able to. It is an NP-hard problem, algorithmically. You'll never be able to complete it. Can you count the elements of this cosmos? You will never be able to count.
Okay. All right. So let's put a pin on Shankaracharya's argument for sake. How does Mahaprabhuji Vallabhacharya address this conundrum?
So Vallabhacharya says that duality or multiplicity does not always have to lead to contradicting with the singularity. The mere root cause of Shankaracharya of possibly perceiving the Brahman in this way was he was unable to comprehend the existence of singularity and multiplicity at the same time in the same phenomena. And hence he has to take this approach of siding to one of the extreme positions. But Vallabhacharya says, no, you are fundamentally wrong. Because Brahman, such a phenomena which is contradictory, paradoxical in nature, which we call it as Viruddha Dharmashrayatva, wherein a Brahman can possibly have multiplicities while maintaining its singularity. So why are you concerned about Advitiyata? Why do you need to resort to these type of logic of negative attributes? Let it be so. Let it be positive attributes. It does not hurt its singularity. Brahman is not limited by its singularity because Brahman is all pervasive, infinite, all doer. Possibly bind him into your singularity. The root, that is the justification. Vallabhacharya says that let it be so. Let it be the paradoxical concept. Viruddha Dharmashraya. Let it have singularity and let it have multiplicity because multiplicity does not hurt its singularity. That is what the justification is. Because ultimately, if you say that a God is such that cannot handle multiplicities because it must be singular in nature, then it ceases to exist as God. ऐसा कैसा भगवान जो अपने इच्छा में बंधा हुआ है, कैसा भगवान तो कुछ इच्छा भी नहीं होती है, उसको अगर इच्छा हो तो वो रेप्लिकेट भी नहीं कर सकता है मल्टीप्लिसिटीज में, ऐसा कैसा भगवान? ये तो कोई जेल में बंधा हुआ कोई कैदी की तरह है आपका ब्राह्मण, तो थोड़ी ब्राह्मण है. If he wishes to retain its singularity by replicating himself into multiplicities, so be it. It is his wish. He can do it. That is the justification. Is it clear?
Mm-hmm. So So maybe this is a squirrel chasing, but Adi Shankaracharya ji went to Sringeri in Kashmir quite a bit, and Kashmir Shaivism is very close philosophically to uh, Mahaprabhuji Vallabhacharyaji's Siddhant.
Yeah.
So wasn't there, like, why did he have? I feel like somewhat that Adi Shankaracharya is twisting himself into a knot to keep the singularity without even negating the gunas to prove the singularity. So I'm just wondering, is it the Bauddha influence, or is it just and didn't have any Kashmiri Shaivism influence, or I don't know, just the thought that comes in my head.
I think based on my knowledge, it was more of the influence from Buddhas. And basically, he had to revive the Vedic Sanatana Dharma, and had to. It was a very precarious situation for him to revive in that era of where the Buddhism was at its climax, and hence he might have taken this stand. And another reason that Purana states is Pancha Rudra Mahabaho Moho Shastrani Kare. So possibly, I mean, not possibly, that for sure it was God's wish to also, you know, to spread this type of illusionary philosophical systems, so that people can sway away from him, and kind of make sure that his wishes or Narayan's wishes are fulfilled. So that's why Narayan also had said to Lord Shiva to manifest in terms of Shankaracharya and kind of spread this type of illusionary doctrines across the world. So that is another justification. But yeah, I mean, from the materialistic standpoint view and from their present.
So you're saying Thakurji asked Shankara and came himself as Bauddha and also came himself as Rishabha to do Jainism, Buddhism, and Shankara philosophy.
Yes. Yes. Tvancharudra Mahabaho Moho Shastrani Karaya. Yes. Anyhow, we are up. We are on time right now. I think we are past 9 minutes. So I think we should conclude the session here. I hope the audience, for audience, it was a useful session. I hope that it was useful to you all, and I hope that it, Venkatesh, although you had joined late, but finally you made it, and I hope it was useful and you got the answers as well. It was a useful session, so I'm looking forward to have another session with you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Jai Shri Krishna.